Hey friends, here's how I make an income as a content creator, among other things, without ever having taken a sponsorship, enough to grow Hybrid Calisthenics to help others and take care of our wonderful team because they take care of me. And no, it's not really ad revenue. In this video, I'll talk about my business model, how and why I do this, the pros and cons of it, and whether or not this might change in the future. If you don't know me, my name is Hampton and I make fitness videos, supposedly. And I'm not rich, I don't claim to be rich, I don't claim to be a master of business, but I just want to show you my way of doing things, which is a little bit different than how some other people might do things, why I think it works well for me. And I like being transparent in this sense because I think it can help viewers connect more with the content creators they watch, because they can better understand what they do, what they sometimes do. Plus, if you or someone you know wants to start a channel in the future, this might give you some options to better help you. Okay, first, a brief overview. You might already know this. So whatever your favorite channels are, their journey usually goes something like this. So they make a few videos, get some interest in those videos, keep practicing and getting better, see how surprised he is, and because the content is better, they get more eyeballs and they're actually happier. That's why they're green. But this is almost always part-time at first. So as quality and quantity keep increasing, in order to make people happy, they consider going full-time, especially if they have people they want to support. And for monetization, two immediate options appear. The first is ads. YouTube runs ads on your videos and you get a percentage of what they make. This is usually the first and simplest one to do because all you have to do is agree to it. It's already set up. And the second is that brands will reach out to you and oh my gosh, now there's a question mark. Totally intentional, not because the sign fell on me. Brands will reach out to you and ask about your sponsorship rates. And you talk about their product or company to your audience in return for money. And once again, very simple because you don't have to build a business like the one they have or build a product, which can take years. All you have to do, once again, is say yes, sign on a dotted line. And these things are fine, by the way. I'll mention this later, but some people have built great channels that entertain people and or educate them using these two levers as a foundation. But I did have a business in mind. And when I say business, I mean offering services because our main product, the hybrid fitness routine, is free. It's on the website. My entire business model is what I jokingly call the Star Wars business model, where I give the most important key information or thing that I think can help people the most for free. And we earn money through providing options for people that want that. I call it the Star Wars model because when Star Wars first came out in the 70s, the box office was something like 700 million. That's a chunky amount. But the fans and community and spin-offs that built eventually led to Star Wars being worth like 50 billion nowadays. So the idea is that if I own Star Wars, I would let everyone see it for free because the story is what I really want to share. And if that core thing is really good, then the community that builds will also lead to a functional business. Now I say jokingly because for one thing, the ticket price didn't really stop anyone who wanted to see it from seeing it, I imagine. So I could just simply call it the sunflower model or something. But when I bring it up in podcasts and to people that I'm interviewing, they seem to like Star Wars model and it's what they remember. So that's all we got for now. But whatever we call it, the idea is to optimize for growth and impact rather than revenue. Now, revenue is usually still a factor because in order to build good things, you usually need the help of other people and you should pay them well. But just to use the fitness routine as an example, if we sold it, we make more money, but reach fewer people. And all we did was swap that. So we still make some money, but we reach and help far more people. Hopefully. So, to summarize, sponsorships in this context mean talking about someone else's stuff. I just choose to talk about my own stuff. Except my main stuff, my main product, which is the hybrid fitness routine, is free. And we make money and pay our employees and make a living offering options for people who want them. Different formats of that fitness routine, like a book, some cards, or the app. The free things for people who just want to test it out first, or are like college me, who didn't have a whole lot of money but still wanted to learn. And the options in different formats are for people who want those options. I usually only encourage people to get those options if it makes sense for you and if you genuinely think it can help you. I probably turned down a significant amount of money by now, and I could use that money to make the app better, to make the routine better, hire some more trainers to answer people's questions, or even donate it to a charity. My point is, and I'm sure some of you are already aware of this, that I could take that money and use it to do good things. But I still chose not to. And here's why. Look at that technology here, huh? Use of technology. Bam. Woo! Now it won't fall. First of all, the concept isn't as unique as some people may think. I tend to get a lot of credit when I do these videos, and while I really appreciate the kind words, I just do want to emphasize that I'm not the only person who does this. A lot of other people do, even if they don't really talk about it or explain why. Chances are many of your favorite channels and the content creators you watch, if they're above a certain size, have turned down hundreds of thousands of dollars over their time on YouTube or social media in general. And the reason is because many of us know there are a lot of low quality sponsorships out there. And by low quality, I often mean scammy. And it hurts your reputation, hurts your audience, and just really isn't good for anyone. And that's why brand and reputation it's a green arrow. Even if they're not the spammy, low-quality ones, I'm sure a lot of people still remember last year when we were going through FTX and the title company. I'm not fully up to date on all the controversies. Some of them might be more accurate than others. But as you can see, even taking the reputable ones that at the time of taking a lot of people like can end up having unexpected consequences that you didn't know about. And for this next one, we can actually swap to a different board. So it doesn't bother me when other people take sponsorships. But actually, I can explain the first part of this next part without a whiteboard. How do you like the whiteboard, by the way? I just thought it was fun. It is largely because of trust. I spend a lot of time on videos and content, just like a lot of other content creators do. And I just don't like people feeling like I'm biased, or at least financially biased. I like calisthenics. You should try calisthenics if you think it can work for you. But if I could sell Gravity and I had a sponsorship from Gravity, that might seem a little bit more suspicious. I don't like the idea of people trying to sell us our own health, fitness, and happiness. And as a consumer, I feel like a lot of people are trying to sell me that, and I don't want to be complicit in it. So even that last part where I talked about FTX and the other controversial sponsors, and I mentioned unexpected consequences that the content creator didn't know. And that's fully understandable. But the reason we might not know that these consequences will happen is because we often don't use the actual product. Even well-known companies, if you're taking a lot of sponsorships, you're kind of just banking on that company's reputation. You might not have actually used that company that you're recommending to people. Look, I don't like the I word, but the reason influencer marketing works is because these companies discovered that people trust these influencers. They've built up trust in their audiences, and if we just get them to recommend this product, then we can sell a lot of it. It is word of mouth at scale, meaning big. And that's wonderful and a beautiful concept when it's a great product, a great audience, and a great content creator, and everyone's aligned. But that syzygy just doesn't seem to happen as much as we would all hope. Here, I'm gonna block this light so you can actually see me. So anyway, there's that. But even if I only took sponsorships for things I personally used and enjoyed, there's still a little bit of doubt. Because if I really like something, would I talk about it even if I wasn't paid? If yes, actually yes, then why am I getting paid for it? I understand not everyone thinks this way and it's fine, but how unbiased could my recommendation actually be if I'm being paid to make that recommendation? For example, our website that our fitness routine is on is hosted by Squarespace. And I understand Squarespace has been so sponsored across so many different channels that it's almost a meme now. But before it was that, I used Squarespace and I enjoyed it. But before I even knew about the Squarespace influencer sponsorship meme, I already used Squarespace and I enjoyed it. I built our website on Squarespace. My friends who just want to set up a quick, simple website, I recommend they try it. Now, all of that is my honest opinion and experience. And it would still be my honest opinion and experience if they paid me tens of thousands of dollars in order to talk about it. But which one would seem more genuine? The one where I'm financially biased by definition, or the one where I just want to talk about it? Now, all of that aside, I understand some people might still be upset over a certain opinion or recommendation, even if I'm not paid to make it. Like, I'm not aware of this, but Squarespace might have had some PR disaster or some major controversy that I'm not aware of, and people might be upset for me mentioning them or recommending them to others. And I understand that. I disagree with my own friends on multiple things. But I just don't want to feel like I'm being paid to disagree or paid to have a certain opinion. That's my rant. It's dark. Okay, so the next day. The pros and the cons are pretty much everything I just discussed. And I'll encapsulate that under what I call, again, trust. And I'll draw a little chibi of myself here. Man, that looks terrible. Where's Yvonne, our artist? I need her. So brand and trust both go up if one is careful about the sponsorships they take and or don't take them at all. The amount of these might depend on the person. Like I said, some people probably don't care at all what sponsors a content creator takes. And there's also a degree of something that I'll call freedom, which I really value. It is usually not just a case of taking money one time. Usually, if you take money or you take an income, just like if someone watching this took a job, you usually become somewhat reliant on it, which has negative connotations. So unless you're just putting the money in the bank and doing nothing with it, you're usually using that money to do something else. So it becomes at least part of your business operations. And because it's part of your business operations, you sometimes feel a little conflicted if a sponsor does something that you don't like. If it's a protein powder and they change their ingredients. If it's an energy drink and you think they put too much caffeine or artificial coloring. So the freedom to talk about what I want a little bit more. If a company does something that I dislike and I'm not sponsored by them and I'm not relying on their money to pay my employees and make a living, I feel a little bit more free to talk about them or not recommend them if I don't feel comfortable doing that. It may not ever come up for many people, but for me, the freedom to say what I want to a higher degree is really important. That's why this gets a big green arrow. So there's that type of freedom, but there's also just the freedom to post when I want a little bit more. There was a company a while ago that wasn't a sponsor, but they wanted to give me some money to basically invest in the channel. So I hopped on a call with their rep because I wanted to see what they were offering, and she was talking about how much freedom they gave their content creators. But she mentioned a clause in their contract, and she said something like, well, we want you to have freedom, but you can't just disappear for 7 months or something like that. Now, I have no plans for disappearing, but it made me think, well, what if I want to disappear for 7 months? Or what if I need to for family or friends or something very important? See, that same sales rep later on told me, Hampton, when someone's offering to give you money, you say yes. But it's not true. Because usually if someone's offering to give you money, you want to think about what they're taking in return. And usually it's some equity or some control over what you do. And I'm very protective of that. This next one I haven't fully leveraged, but basically some people become more reliant on sponsorships and affiliates, that their income is directly tied into how many videos they make in a certain week. If you ever wonder why some people are posting just to post, it's partially algorithm and sometimes partially this. If you get paid $20,000 per ad read and you go from 3 videos a week to 1 video a week, that's quite a lot of money you're not making, and it's very important if you're relying on that to pay your employees. So more time for videos, but also, I don't know how related this is, but maybe more time for loved ones, because you're not tied to the schedule as much. Oh, and lastly, I just want to talk about my unsponsored reviews. I haven't done them in a while, but they're one of my favorite series on the channel to do. People seem to like watching them. And if each unsponsored review was a sponsored review, I would make more money, but I think I would have less fun. Cons are like pecans. They're a lot easier. That doesn't mean anything, I just made it up. This one's pretty obvious because people aren't paying you. You're making less. And this leads to slower growth. If I'm ever talking about money, especially out of context, and you're wondering, why do you need money? Don't you already have enough to live? It's usually associated with the projects that I want to build. Even if they're completely free, great service charity projects. If I want to make them well, I usually need more time, more talented people who usually want talented wages. There are some things I can do myself, like the website, but the app is a good example of something that I cannot build just by myself. You need a team, and less money means slower growth. Not for everything though. Like, money isn't tied into my content quite as much at the moment. I'm not Mr. Beast or anything. Not sure how to phrase this one, but it's basically this. Not everyone cares whether or not you take a sponsorship. When you start the content journey, or maybe when you're just starting a business in general, there is a tendency sometimes to be too idealistic. And I'm aware that this is a pitfall that I don't want to fall into. A lot of the things I mentioned during this video, like the Star Wars business model, optimizing for reach and impact and helping people instead of revenue, the sponsorship thing, a lot of these things sound really good, especially to a young content creator or someone like me who really does want to help and enjoys doing this. But I'm aware that I don't want to self-sabotage myself by being too idealistic. A lot of others have helped more people and more effectively and more efficiently than I have. I'm not the only person who wants to optimize for reach and impact other than revenue. These are all things that already exist, and sponsorships don't necessarily stop or impede any of those. In fact, they might help. And I don't want my potential for idealism to find ways to be unique that don't really need to be there, especially if they're not actually helping people. But that said, will this change? Maybe. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm a little bit more open-minded nowadays over what's good or bad and what might actually help people instead of what I actually think can help people. And even if you, the person watching this, don't know me or don't believe that I have pure intentions, even hypothetically, if with pure intentions, money can help us grow something to help other people. So I might just be slowing down my own projects for no reason. That said, I have no plans for this. The closest thing that I can think of in the immediate future is us taking custom advertisements for the app. If you download the app, on the free version, there are ads during rest times to help make the app possible. And I like that idea in theory, but I think they could be a lot more entertaining and informative and a lot more relevant. Like health and fitness ones, it'd basically just be like the YouTube ads, but somewhere else. By the way, ad revenue, which I mentioned at the beginning and the middle, big part of how some YouTube channels monetize, not a big part of how we currently make money. It's a side effect of doing so many shorts. And I'm currently in the process of building up long-form content, meaning non-shorts, which you're currently watching, so thank you so much if you got this far. So yes, ads, like sponsorships, involve advertising someone else's stuff. The nuance of difference probably depends on who you ask, but for me, sponsorships are when you talk about it or when you recommend it, and ads not necessarily. That's a very important distinction for me. By the way, last I checked, YouTube does reserve the right to play ads over your videos, even if you don't make money. So sometimes it's not a question of whether or not we're enabling ads. They might happen anyway. So I'll let you know if any of this changes. I'll let you know what I learn as I learn it. I do enjoy trying to be more authentic, more transparent wherever possible. It just makes me enjoy my life and my work a whole lot more. Here's a link to our free fitness routine, a fitness app, a book or an ebook if you want one, and the cards. Free support from fitness trainers if you want it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked the video. Have a beautiful day.